Days of Sketches with Christy's Beautiful Life. Day 10's sketch is from Crafty Templates, and I really like this one. I love that big giant heart. I do love that the pictures are cut into circles. I'm not doing that because it's just kind of not me, I guess. But I love this sketch, and I think that it would work with so many different other shapes. So I definitely want to keep this one in my repertoire and see what else I can do with it. I think it would look really cool as maybe like a giant leaf, like a maple leaf, and you could do a Canada Day themed layout or a fall themed layout. Yeah, just all kinds of ideas that I have. So I'm using the Scenic Route papers from Paige Evans, and I was trying to decide if I wanted to do the heart with the pattern paper and then have the sort of most of the background be white, or if I wanted to sort of follow the sketch a little bit more and have the background be the darker color. I know in the sketch it's like a solid gray, but I think obviously a pattern reads the same way. And have the heart be white. And so in the end, I really liked this paper, and I decided to go ahead and have that be the background. So I just freehanded a heart on the back side that I could cut out, and then there's white cardstock in the background just to fill in that heart. And then with this leftover piece here, the heart that I cut out, I decided to go ahead and fussy cut all of the flowers. I basically cut all of them. There were a couple little pieces that weren't really worth it, but for the most part, even if they were oddly shaped, I went ahead and cut those out. And I thought, I'm going to keep my embellishment really simple. It's very simple in the sketch. And because I chose kind of a busier background paper, I thought I would go ahead and follow that and not try to add too many other patterns or images that I thought might compete with all of the flowers. So yeah, I'm just going to add some more of those flowers and give them a little bit of dimension and kind of make them look pretty. But because I do want some texture and I want some interest, I went ahead and sewed, I just hand stitched the heart. And there are dash marks in the actual sketch, so to me that definitely represents stitching. So I went ahead and did my own little hand stitching. So the one just kind of loops around the edge, and then the other one's a little bit thicker, and that just gives a little interest, a different texture. It actually gives a little bit of dimension to where the opening is, because the stitching doesn't let the paper lie completely flat. So now there is a little bit of a shadow where the heart meets the white paper. And you could do the same thing by adding some foam if you wanted and just sort of pop up that whole flower piece, the whole floral paper, and that shadow kind of gives that depth and that bit of dimension and adds just that little difference in textures. And then because this is actually a companion page, or I mean, it's not officially a 2-page layout, but definitely 2 pages that go together, I'm going to add this tissue paper. So the first page that I did, I showed you guys a couple of days ago. It's from day 3, so using the day 3 sketch, and I used some tissue paper because there were all of these layers, but the layers were all paper, and so I just wanted something that was different, a different texture to kind of add in and break up some of those layers. So I figured since the 2 pages go together, I might as well use some tissue paper in this layout as well. And so I'm just ruffling it inside the heart so that it just peeks out the tiniest bit. And again, it creates a bit of a shadow and it lifts that heart up a bit so you can really see that it's 2 separate pieces of paper and that the heart has been cut out. And I wasn't quite sure how it was going to turn out. I think this would have looked really good if you have a sewing machine and you wanted to sew the tissue paper into the heart, kind of make a ruffle that way. My sewing machine has been turned into a toy for the baby. I'm missing the plate that covers the bobbin, and I haven't been able to get it. It's been out of stock, and he kind of discovered it because it's a really fun little teal color, and it's a tiny, cute little sewing machine. And so I may have lost it to him, and it might be time to invest in a new one. But I thought I would give this technique a try. I just lined the tissue paper strips with adhesive and kind of ruffled them with my hands, and it actually looks really good. I didn't want a ton of it to stick out. I definitely didn't want it to overshadow the stitching that I did. When you take that much time to hand stitch, you kind of want that to be seen. So I like that it's just this tiny little ridge that sticks out and gives a bit of movement, and definitely makes that heart stand out quite a bit. So now I'm just going to have to pop my picture up though to make sure that it sits nicely on top of the ruffle. So I'm just using a little bit of my foam. I'm almost out of it, so I have been a little bit stingy about using my foam properly, but I definitely needed it this time. And the picture in the other layout was sort of a family selfie from Mother's Day. And then this one is just me and my son. And I didn't actually take pictures of myself and the other kids, so I didn't want this to be an official 2-page spread. So they're companion pages, but I don't know, I do that. I think when you have 4 kids, sometimes you just have to take whatever pictures you get in the moment, and sometimes one kid is way more into photos than another. They all go through the different stages of wanting to be in pictures and not wanting to be in pictures. So I'm not going to not scrapbook this picture because I don't have one with any of the other kids, but it also just didn't quite feel right to make it an official 2-page layout when there's sort of that family picture and then just a picture of me and Fox. So I think they work really good as companion photos. I forgot to say, I also cut the tiniest sliver, like 1/8 of an inch off of each side of the floral paper, so that I could go ahead and have just a tiny white border around the whole layout. And I don't really think that's in the sketch, but I kind of wanted that because I felt like the blue was quite overpowering, which I think it works in the sketch, and that's sort of the point. But for some reason, I just felt like it was quite heavy and overpowering. And so having that little border of white around it just lightened everything up. And the blue I picked mostly because of the flowers, but also the shirt I was wearing had blue and teal stripes on it. And so all the pictures that day, for some reason, had just this like bluish hue to them. And then, of course, I have blue eyes, and the brick in behind us had some grays and blues in it too. So I felt like the blue worked really nicely with the photo. And so here I just have those cut out little flowers, and I'm just kind of fussing with where I want to put them. I did cut them out with the solid colored leaves, not the navy blue leaves were just sort of an outline. I did cut out the green and the pink ones because they were solid. And then here I've kind of had to cut them off and tuck them into different places just to make everything fit so that our faces aren't covered up and they don't run off the edge or anything like that. I didn't want to cover up too much of the white of the heart because I feel like that's the really striking contrast. And that's one thing I really like about the original sketch, is that there is actually a ton of white space. There isn't a lot of embellishment going on anywhere, but that white heart is really white and clean. And then the background is also really clean. And mine doesn't quite feel that way because there's a pattern on my background, but I still wanted to make sure that I was being very intentional with my embellishment and not putting embellishment just all over the place and kind of taking away from that really clean look. So now I'm just tucking in a few of these little leaves to try to balance out any little awkward spots. But really, really simple. There's not a lot going on here. I did all of the work by doing the stitching, so not much is going into the other embellishments. And I think I was just checking out my handiwork, making sure I didn't forget to stick any of them down. Do you guys ever do that? I'll sometimes place stuff, and when I'm layering, I will stick most of the stuff down, but I might miss one thing, and then when I'm done filming and I pick up my layout to move it to take pictures, stuff falls off. So I'm trying to be much more intentional about making sure that I double check that I've got everything adhered down. And so for my title, I'm going to be super original, and I'm going to use the title My Heart, which just makes sense to me because there's a giant heart there. So that's what I'm going with. And I love these pink foam core gold rose thickers, and I do have to MacGyver them a little bit, that you can see here, because I'm running out of all of my vowels, as you do. You can see I have a lot left, but I have used them quite a bit. So as you get kind of down to those last bits, you have to get a little bit creative. So I needed something for the E, and I think I needed something for the A as well. I think I used a Q. So I'm just going to pop it down there in the bottom of the picture. It says My Heart. And then I'm going to add a couple little sequins. I really love this mix here because the blues and the pinks matched perfectly. It's a Spiegelmom Scraps mix that Jody made specifically for Wild Whisper. And then there are just a few yellow sequins in the mix, and so I thought I would go ahead and use them on the layout, and they're just this like really bright kind of contrasting pop of color, so I think that worked out really well. So I'll go ahead and put those down, and I'm using 4 of them. When I was editing this video and kind of watching it back, I thought to myself, that's really interesting because I don't normally go for 4s. I usually go for odd numbers, but I'm thinking outside the box a lot more lately, at least my box. So yeah, I think that worked really good, that little pop of yellow. And then I'll just do a tiny bit of journaling. I don't need to write much because this isn't the only layout, and there's some pictures in the Project Life page that goes with this as well. So I'll just write the date and that it was me and Fox, and a little scattering of gold Heidi Swap Color Shine because I used those gold letters, and so I thought maybe I should have it just in a few little places. So no big drops, just some tiny little splatters to kind of bring some gold in somewhere else. And that's it. That is my layout for day 10. Please go and check out the playlist down below. That's where everybody's videos are. So you can literally click on the link, start with day 1, and just keep going through the whole playlist. It's updated every day as each day's videos go live. So literally just follow that playlist for the whole month and you'll have all of the videos. You'll be able to check out any new channels you haven't subscribed to yet. Please click subscribe to mine if you haven't already. I would really appreciate it. And thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Chat with me down below in the comments. And until next time, happy scrapping. Bye.